Okay, well, welcome to GSG, and glad to host and have this very entertaining discussion of the spectrum of DAM versus CMS, or how we integrate CMS to DAM and vice versa. I can tell you it's a great discussion, and I think it's something that is very interesting as we journey and understand systems, how we manage assets. We'll discuss definitions of assets later on. But I will say what was interesting last week when we did a pre-meeting before we start, we got on a conference call, and we figured out it's going to be a 20-minute conference call with the three of us to discuss our positions, and it ended up being like an hour, and we didn't want to get off the phone. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, we got to save some of this for this meeting because this is good discussion. So excited about where we go with this. But I also think what's important, and I'll obviously start with describing where we play in the space. It's important to understand my perspective in the space that I live in and why my perspective is as such. So, for example, in the marketing supply chain, where Graphic Systems Group lives, we are, if you will, a production agency. And our job is to take the creative and or the branding or the execution of art, of messaging, of anything that might be a campaign for a brand or a product, and manage that process after the creative is done. So the creative agencies work on that brand, that magic, the positioning, the promotion of that product or person or idea, and our job is to be a platform to execute and implement those ideas via TV, packaging, print, and one more, digital. So if you can understand where I'm living, or GSG is living, I should say, and where my perspective comes from, as my counterparts here will go through, it'll give you a better understanding of those perspectives. Because I think the folks in the audience all come from different spaces, and will have different opinions and different views of CMS versus DAM and vice versa. So anyway, that's the world we live in. And our job in that platform is to do the art working, is to manage and repurpose those assets. We call that WIP, and then deploy them to the different mediums that are going out there. I think understanding that, you're going to understand my perspective as we go through the conversation. Now I'm taking up a lot of the time here, but I'll pass on to Marque, and you can give a background on your world.
Thank you, Ken. My name is Marque Staneluis. I am the president of Tekworx and former CTO over at DNAinfo. DNAinfo is a news organization. We trying to solve the challenges of journalism in the 21st century. We've started it from the ground up, completely digital. There's no paper, there's no print. It's completely digital. You can find them online at DNAinfo.com. They would deal with hyperlocal news. I've been building product for about 20 years on the web, all of it completely digital, from something that's equivalent to hotels.com up to building this news organization. For DNAinfo.com, we had to create a CMS system that was going to work and be light and portable, but also be able to manage all the assets that deliver the news to the end user. So we had to get digital photographs in there on the fly, get them cropped appropriately, get them, and because of scalability issues, we used the DAM in our case to manage both the metadata behind the scenes and also to pre-size everything. Because if you try to scale things on the fly, you create a poor user experience. You're going to definitely slow down your website, and you're going to slow down the user. The users are going to go away because they're not going to get a page loaded in time. So in many respects, I'm representing kind of like the end user who has to rely on this to create profit, to keep the business rolling. And that's, you'll find that as we have the conversation here. And so we built a CMS that met our needs. We built an application platform that met our needs, and then we had to implement this DAM into that met our needs, so that we could be able to easily access all these assets, this asset library that we're using to generate the news for everybody. And I guess you got one? You got one? Okay,
no,
go ahead.
No, just.
Well, do you have a microphone?
I do have. Oh,
okay.
this is what,
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a microphone. I'm also the closest to being the technologist or an IT geek, as you can tell by me struggling with the microphone. But I am still on the business side. I still represent the users and the community. I identify as a ECM architect, Enterprise Content Management. And I'm going to keep saying ECM throughout tonight. So I want to distinguish that we have the digital assets, we have the content, we have the usability and the workflow, and on the back end we have where's all that living. I've worked for Philip Morris, Department of Defense. I'm currently with the New York City School Construction Authority, where we have monolithic, huge, old, legacy, mainframe data stores, and yet it's 2013 with Windows 7 and Adobe Photoshop and all of these beautiful tools, and I know I'm missing a lot of the tools you all use. But I'm also a librarian, and my job in the corporate infrastructure is to index and find and catalog and archive. And then records retention. How long do we need to keep it? All of this beautiful artwork. How, do we need it for 20 years or 10 years or 5 years? The iterations that drove what we see now, what ends up in magazine. Do we need to know each and every version of that or just the final version? So my perspective is finding the balance between the business needs of the creation and the reality of, well, you're talking terabytes, and I know we can have, we were talking earlier about 200 gig.
This is where the conversation broke down last time, by the way.
We have 200 megabyte pipes, and we have 48 terabytes. Well, you can still eat up all of this space awfully quickly. And what is it we're trying to serve? And in the end, what are we serving? We're serving the magazine, we're serving the end user, we're serving the product. So between the three of us, we'll find our way through this conversation with your help and questions, and should be a good chat.